I never thought I'd be the guy who cared this much about hair. Growing up, I had thick, jet black hair that everyone complimented. It was part of my identity, my confidence, my style. But around age 27, I started noticing changes. My hairline was receding slowly but steadily. I'd run my hand through my hair and feel more scalp than usual. At first, I shrugged it off as genetics. After all, my dad was bald by 35 and his dad even earlier, but something about it hit me differently. I was still young, active, dating, and working in a competitive corporate world where appearance unfortunately did matter. The worst part wasn't just the hair loss. It was the constant stress and obsession. Every time I looked in the mirror, I'd tilt my head forward examining the temples, comparing photos, adjusting lighting to convince myself it wasn't that bad. I started avoiding selfies and group photos. I wore hats more often, not because I liked them, but because they became armor. It wasn't just vanity, it was identity loss. So I went down every rabbit hole on YouTube and Reddit, learning all about DHT, the hormone that causes male pattern baldness. I considered finasteride and minoxidil, and even went for a free consultation for a hair transplant, but honestly I hesitated. The side effects, they scared me. I wanted a natural, lasting solution. Something that didn't just patch the problem but actually addressed the root. That's when I committed to going holistic. Not as some trendy experiment, but as a real long-term lifestyle shift. I began with my diet. I removed processed foods, cut sugar almost entirely, and said goodbye to dairy. All of which, by the way, cause inflammation and spike DHT production. I switched to whole foods: eggs, spinach, avocados, chia seeds, berries, lean protein, and a lot of green tea. So I started drinking saw palmetto tea and, occasionally nettle root, both of which are known for their DHT blocking properties. My daily smoothie became honestly kind of sacred to me, a mix of banana, spinach, plant-based protein, flaxseed, collagen peptides, and almond milk. Then I worked on my scalp. I learned that poor circulation and clogged follicles were like huge factors in hair loss. So I bought a silicone scalp brush and committed to daily scalp massages. 10 minutes every night, sometimes even more, not just rubbing but really stimulating in circular motions, focusing on the temples and crown. So, I used warm castor oil mixed with just a few drops of rosemary, peppermint, and tea tree essential oils. The scent honestly was super relaxing, and these oils really are powerful. Rosemary alone is actually backed by studies to be just as effective as minoxidil when you use it consistently. I also applied aloe vera gel directly from the leaf a few times a week, letting it sit for about 30 minutes before rinsing. I changed my shampoo to a caffeine-based, sulfate-free formula with biotin and zinc. And I only washed my hair 3 times a week, no more than that. I stopped using hot water and I never rubbed with a towel, just gentle pat drying every time. Every week, I'd do a clay detox mask for my scalp using bentonite clay and apple cider vinegar to pull out toxins. Plus, I wore silk caps to bed and stopped sleeping with my head buried into rough pillows. I also learned that, mindset really matters. Stress releases cortisol, which actually fuels inflammation and hormonal imbalance. So I totally overhauled my mornings. I'd wake up early, go for a walk, listen to calming music or affirmations, then do 5 minutes of breath work and 15 minutes of journaling. I wrote about gratitude, visualized my hair growing back, and tracked my journey in detail. This was no longer just about hair. It became self-care. I also got blood work done to check for deficiencies. Turned out I was low in vitamin D and zinc. I added both to my supplement stack, along with a multivitamin, omega-3s, saw palmetto extract, and a high-dose biotin complex. I made sure to hydrate, at least 3 liters a day. I quit alcohol for 6 months and drastically reduced caffeine. I committed to 8 hours of sleep a night. I worked out 4 times a week. Not intense bodybuilding, but full-body functional training and light cardio to keep blood flowing. So within about 2 months, I noticed less shedding. My hair wasn't really getting thicker just yet, but honestly the breakage had reduced. Then at month 3 I spotted these baby hairs at my temples. Tiny, fuzzy strands that honestly felt like hope. By month 6, my barber actually commented that my crown looked fuller. And by 9 months, I saw clear regrowth in areas that were once, totally barren. It wasn't perfect, but it was definitely significant. More than just the aesthetics, it really restored my confidence. I wasn't hiding under hats anymore, I actually started making eye contact in photos again. I began sharing my journey online, and I started getting messages from other guys who were struggling too. I told them what I'm telling you now: hair loss doesn't have to be a life sentence. Yes, it takes time, yes, it takes effort, And no, there's just no magic product that grows your hair back in 2 weeks. But with discipline and consistency, your body will respond. So think of it like gardening. You can't just plant seeds and expect a jungle overnight. Instead, you nurture the soil, feed the roots, protect the surface, and then, well, you wait. And then slowly it grows. My routine wasn't perfect every day. There were setbacks, stressful work weeks, skipped massages, missed supplements, but I always came back to the foundation. Diet, scalp care, stress management, and of course patience. I even started experimenting with microneedling, using a 1.5 millimeter derma roller once a week with hyaluronic acid and rosemary oil. It definitely boosted my results, but I was cautious and made sure to keep everything sterile. Now, over a year later, I still follow most of the habits. My hair is fuller, darker, and honestly stronger than it's been in years. I style it with pride. And, every time I get a compliment, I remember the days I was afraid to look in the mirror. If you're watching this and struggling, I want you to know you're not alone. Hair loss is painful, emotionally and psychologically, but it can also be the start of a powerful healing journey. Your scalp is an extension of your health. When you focus on healing from the inside out, you don't just regrow hair, you regrow confidence, vitality, and control over your body. Drop a comment below if you want my exact supplement protocol or the oil recipe I use for massages. You deserve to feel good about yourself, and yes, your hair can grow back naturally, strand by strand.